Hello, I'm Brian Mastro from the Penn State Campus Weather Service here with your forecast for the State College area. We'll start by taking a look at the weather headlines that we're tracking for the next couple of days. For today, it is going to be bitterly cold and windy, and then for the rest of the middle of the week, we're expecting even more cold days ahead of us. However, we are expecting to warm up a little bit by Sunday, as we could even hit 50 degrees come Sunday. We'll start by taking a live look outside the Arboretum, where we currently have the temperature coming in at 19 degrees with cloudy conditions, with that feels like temperature, though, at 3 degrees. So it is freezing out there. You really need to be bundled up, heavy coat, hat, gloves, scarves, everything. Just try to keep you as warm as possible. That is due to the wind coming from the west at 21 miles per hour. Now, when you have a very cold temperature and high wind speeds, that will make it feel colder than it actually is. It doesn't actually bring down the temperature, as many people do believe. It just makes it feel colder. So when you have the temperature of 19 and the wind of 21, it makes it feel like it is 3 degrees, and that's what we like to call the wind chill factor. And how cold is it? The record cold high, which means the lowest high temperature ever recorded on this day in State College, was all the way back in 1903. So 111 years ago, and we are projected right now to break that record by 4 degrees, which for a record that has stood for 111 years, that is a very big difference to break it by. And then for tomorrow, we might break that record again, as that record, not quite as impressive going all the way back to 1903, but all the way back to 1951, which is still pretty far back. We're still expected to break that tomorrow as well by 2 degrees as well. So we'll take a live look at the temperatures around all of Pennsylvania right now. We have State College at 21, and then down here we have a little bit of a warmer area. Philadelphia did reach the freezing mark. They might go above it as the day progresses. And then we also have Allentown 29, Harrisburg 26. Then it's even colder over here in the western portion of the state, with Johnstown and Bradford coming in at 13 degrees each, Franklin at 12, Pittsburgh at 17, and Erie at 19. Looking across the country, it is cold pretty much everywhere. The only place where there is anything resembling anything of warmth is down here in Florida and a little bit in Texas and over in Los Angeles as well. But look at this. We have 12 in International Falls, 15 in Bismarck, 19 in Chicago. It is just very cold all the way across much of the United States. In fact, last night, every single state in the country, all 50 of them, had a temperature of below freezing somewhere in the state last night. Then we're looking at the wind gusts across Pennsylvania. We have wind gusts in the high 20s and 30s, and then we even have some 39 up here in Erie. So the wind is gusting very large amounts all the way across the state, which is what is making it feel even so much colder than it actually is. Where we have our feels like temperatures, like I mentioned before, we now have State College at 6. We have 0 up in Erie, -5 in Franklin, -1 in Bradford, -3 in Johnstown. And these lucky people over here in Philly coming in at 19 degrees, which is still very cold for this early in the season. We'll take a look at the radar and satellite. We have a little bit of some flurries scattered around in the center of Pennsylvania, but other than that, there's just mostly clouds over here. The real story on the satellite and radar is up here. We have this lake effect, just machine almost, where you have the wind coming across the lake this way, which is just, you can almost see it's like a river just flowing into upstate New York, where they have some insane snow totals in some portions up here. They're not measuring it in inches anymore up there. They're measuring it in feet. That's just how much snow they have. We'll take a look at some of those right now. Lancaster, New York, coming in at 4 feet of snow. 48 inches, 4 feet of snow. Elma, New York at 37 inches. Depew, New York at 22. Hamburg at 21. And Batavia at 13. And this is just what they have so far. This is going to be continuing for tonight and even somewhat into tomorrow as well. As we take a look at the eye on the future, you just see that lake effect snow is just continuing all through tonight, all into tomorrow morning, where it finally begins to taper off. Whereas for the rest of Pennsylvania, we'll just have a little bit of we'll just have some cloudiness, and then there is the chance for a little bit of snow moving into the northern central part of the state. But the main story is still the lake effect in northwestern Pennsylvania and upstate New York area. We'll take a look at those projected snow totals. This is on top of what they already have. So this is in addition to what has already fallen. Erie is expected to pick up 17.5 feet of snow on top of what they already have. Then these places up here in upstate New York, Concord is expected to pick up another foot on top of what they already have. Pomfret, 11.5 inches in addition to what they already have. Now, we saw that the highest snow totals, they were right in here. So they're not even on this map, and they're going to get even more as well because they're still expecting at least another foot in that whole area. Buffalo, on the other hand, has pretty much dodged the bullet with this. They only have about an inch to 2 inches so far, and they're only going to pick up another 4 or so. So for Buffalo, considering that right below it is getting almost 4 feet of snow, they're getting very little for this storm. So here's your forecast for State College. For today, we're expecting a high of only 23 degrees, which, like I mentioned, will break that record set all the way back in 1903. And it is frigid and windy out there, and you just don't want to be outside today. Try to spend as little bit of time outside as possible, and make sure you're bundled up, as we have gusty winds gusting up to 30 miles per hour throughout the day. Then for tonight, it is just going to get even more miserable out there, as we're going to drop down into 13 degrees. It is going to be partly cloudy, and it's just going to be cold, and there's still going to be those strong winds. So we could have some wind chills below 0 tonight, maybe even all the way down to like -5 or so. Then we'll take a look at your 7-day, see if there's any relief from this cold. Today is going to be the coldest of all the days, coming in at 23 degrees, dropping down to 13 tonight. And then we will be warming up slightly, reaching a high of 33 degrees by Thursday, so we could be going back above the freezing mark. Then we'll go back below it on Friday before reclimbing up again on Saturday. And then by Sunday, we will be into the low 40s, and maybe even by Monday, we could hit 50. So there is some relief ahead from this deep cold snap. And then we'll also take a look at your football forecast for this weekend, as Penn State, who just became bowl eligible for the first time in a few years, is traveling to Illinois to play the Fighting Illini. We're looking at temperatures in the low 40s with mostly cloudy skies over in Illinois. That's it for me. I'm Brian Mastro from the Penn State Campus Weather Service. Thank you for tuning in.